On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, I do a deep dive into Blackmoon Crypto, a project that aims to bring the advantages of both fiat and crypto worlds together, aims to seamlessly tokenize real-world investment funds, and thus bridge the gap between the traditional world of investment funds and the crypto world. All of that coming up in today's episode of the Cryptoverse, so stay tuned for that. Hi there guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I'm your host, Chris Coney, the founder of Cryptoversity, the online school where you can learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. Find out more at cryptoversity.com. So today I'm going to talk about Blackmoon Crypto. This is a sponsored video which helps to fund the channel and keeps episodes of the Cryptoverse coming at you every day. So shout out to GeForce Investing for connecting me with the Blackmoon Crypto project and making this video happen. Now, a sponsored video does not mean I automatically put a positive spin on it, only that they paid to have this featured. So everything else in this video is my own opinion. So let's get right into it. And remember, nothing in this video is intended to be legal or financial advice. So starting at the very highest level then, Blackmoon Crypto, which let's bring up the site here because I've got kind of an interesting spacey themed website. It's a project that's based on Ethereum, and the Blackmoon Crypto token, BMC, is an ERC20 token. Now the goal of this project is to create a platform that lists a wide variety of funds that you can invest in and does so from a single interface, no matter whether that investment exists, say in the traditional financial world or purely in the crypto world. And the major benefit of turning shares of investment funds into tokens is it eliminates administration, it eliminates friction, and it opens up the market to the entire online population. And the major benefit of creating a unified platform is that it makes it easier for the investor to diversify their portfolio without having to track all of the different individual elements, right? In fact, you'll probably be able to use a single system like one screen to see your entire portfolio across dozens of unrelated funds. And speaking of funds, let's head over to the website here and look at the funds section. They've got this little graph this graph shows their forecasts of how many assets will be under management by whatever date. And then this little ticker thing shows the types of funds that there will be available on a timeline. So they're starting off with what they call high yield fixed fiat income funds. And then over time, that's going to grow. So on one end, you could have in your portfolio shares in technology companies and then shares in large blue chip companies that traditionally trade on the stock markets. And then say on the other end, you might have ICOs, purely for virtual and decentralized autonomous organizations. And plus there'll be everything in between like index funds, venture capital funds, blockchain related companies. And according to this little ticker thing, which if you click to, I think it's number 11 on the list, around 2020, the year 2020, they plan to expand into real estate investments and then get reliable returns that way as well. So you can see their expansion plans just by playing with this little tool and clicking the arrows and seeing what funds they're going to launch over time. Now I keep saying they, right? But when I say they, I mean Blackmoon Crypto themselves. They're aiming to build the technology platform. And while the project is staffed by experienced financial experts, all of these investment funds will be built and maintained by independent fund managers from all around the world, right? But perhaps most important about this project is because it's built on Ethereum, they're going to leverage smart contracts in order to accomplish this. So that's an overview from the user's experience, right? The goal is to provide the user with a single platform that lists all investment opportunities you could possibly want in one place, as opposed to the way it is now where everything's fragmented based on what exchanges the funds are listed on, which countries they're based in, and all manner of other complications and paperwork that you have to do. The next question I had was like, what's the token for, right? So they've got a section just above that on the site here about the BMC token. So there's a little diagram that shows how the ecosystem works. But let me put myself on the other side of the screen here. But I've got a few notes to discuss on this as well. So we can think of Blackmoon as like a software system that's going to be marketed to investment fund managers. And the benefit to the investment fund manager is that once their fund goes live on the platform, they get exposure to the entire population of Blackmoon users looking to invest their money. And that's not to mention that using the Blackmoon Crypto platform means you've effectively reduced your information technology and your legal infrastructure costs to near enough zero, or effectively zero. Now that will lower barriers to entry, it should increase competition, and then ultimately that results in higher quality service for the investors themselves. So the Blackmoon software platform, it will charge fees to the investment funds that are hosted on it, and then the fund managers in turn will charge fees to the investors. That's a fairly typical fee structure for fund management. So there's nothing new there. Now it says here that 100% of the fees the platform generates are going to be distributed among owners of BMC tokens. Yes, right, 100% of the fees. Sounds good, but there is a catch, which is you have to be registered as what they call a continuous contributor. And that means you're required to choose a role to perform certain like development aspects. So they want to incentivize people to help them develop the platform. And if you're a BMC token holder, you're incentivized to do so because you've got a vested interest. Now that doesn't mean you have to be a software developer, mind you. You might be, say, a promoter of the platform, a legal advisor, or any one of a number of other roles that they plan to announce later. In addition to that, demand for BMC tokens is going to come from the fact that if you're an investment advisor and you want to create or manage a fund on the platform, you have to deposit a specified number of BMC tokens. So they want to build a foundation for long-term development, and they need an active community of contributors to do that. And they also want to avoid BMC being a security. So that's why they're incentivizing people to be these continuous contributors rather than just pure holders. Now they also mentioned that they'll invite continuous contributors into like private planning meetings so that you can help them shape the development plans going forward. And that's kind of like, I suppose, their own private focus group. The other thing I've highlighted in red here, it says that they state that all the tokens will be issued during their distribution process, right? During the actual ICO. So there will be no inflation. So that means after the initial distribution has been issued, no further tokens will be created. But what if you don't want to be a continuous contributor, right? What if you don't want to take on one of these roles? Well, in that case, they plan to allow you to effectively lend your BMC tokens to someone who is a continuous contributor, and then you can earn a share of the fees that way. And actually, this is explained in more detail in this Medium post called How to Lend the BMC Token. So in the interest of the length of this video, I'll leave that for you to look into on your own. Next bit, the vision. So if I skip back to the Blackmoon Crypto website here and scroll up to the vision section, I've highlighted this in green. Now this got my attention. They talk about eliminating black box investments. I should probably put myself on the other side of the screen. They mention this in the white paper as well, and in their videos, and it's something that really stuck out to me as important. If you are familiar with some of the more, let's call them unethical strategies that are employed in the old financial system, you'll know that, say, building a portfolio of questionable loans and then selling that basket of assets to, say, a pension fund is the kind of behavior that was one of the major contributors to the 2008 financial crisis. Because selling a basket of assets that you know are toxic to some unwitting buyer, that's what we might call one of these black boxes. This often happens when, say, local municipalities who are not professional investors, so they don't really know and don't really understand how the investment funds are structured, and they may make poor investments off the back of that, right? So creating transparency as to exactly what is in each of the funds that are available is something that Blackmoon Crypto are focusing on, and I think they should get credit for that. Now, if you remember my personal mission statement, it reads, leading people to freedom through education and awareness. And that suggests that equipping people with education and awareness will lead to freedom, right? So what's that got to do with Blackmoon Crypto? Well, by providing the investors with the tools to get detailed information about what's inside the funds that they're about to invest in, they are much more aware of what's inside them, and then they can make much more informed decisions going forward, even if that means deciding not to put their money into something in particular. The more awareness you have, the more power you have, right? So this also has benefits in terms of accountability, because as Max Kaiser is always highlighting, no bankers went to jail after the 2008 financial crisis, despite the questionable behavior and despite the questionable legality of how some large financial institutions behaved prior to that. On the Blackmoon Crypto platform, if you know there's transparency, if you're a fund manager and you know there's this kind of transparency, you'll either be incentivized to act ethically because you know there's an audit trail, or if you are hell-bent on being unethical, well, that will just drive you away from the Blackmoon Crypto platform anyway. So that's a win-win for investors. So now let's talk a bit about the crowdfund itself. And this takes us to page 31 of the white paper, which I have open right here. So the crowdfund begins on the 12th of September at 1 p.m. UTC. They'll be accepting Ethereum, Bitcoin, and LiteCoin as currencies. And you can also pay in fiat currency, but you have to contact them for that. I believe they take euros. It's a pretty typical 30-day fundraiser, and tokens are transferable 7 days after the end of the distribution. Now, the total number of BMC tokens depends kind of how the crowd sale goes. It says in the white paper that they will take the total number of BMCs they sell during the crowdfund and multiply it by 2, and that's how many they'll issue to people. And as it says here on the pie chart, 50% of tokens go to the public, 30% go into a company reserve that's locked away for 3 years, and 20% goes to the Blackmoon Crypto team, their advisors and so on, and that has a 24-month vesting period. Now, the price of a BMC token, they've denominated it in US dollars, and the price goes up twice during the first 7 days of the crowdfund. So during the first 48 hours, the price will be $1 per BMC. The next 4 days, it goes up to $1.05. And after the 7th day, it goes up to $1.10 until the end of the sale. Now, it does say they have a hidden cap, which they will announce 24 hours before the start date of the distribution, but I think I found out what it was. I think it's $30 million. And I'm basing that on what I've read in their Telegram chat group. I went back a little while and read as much chat history as I could within the time I had. There is a lot of it. We'll talk about the chat in a minute. Now let's move on to a couple of other things that stood out to me as unique. They repeatedly mention that their platform will be legally compliant. They say in the white paper that they've designed their fund framework in such a way that existing funds will be able to map onto it. They actually say they've checked in with some major financial institutions and major funds, and they've confirmed that the structure for the Blackmoon fund, the framework they've designed, is compatible with the existing internal processes of these investment funds. That's good, because you don't want to have to convince anyone to make any changes to their business processes in order to use the platform. It wants to be as effortless as possible, right? So this framework also allows them to work with regulators to make sure that the funds on the platform are compliant. If the framework's compliant and then you put your fund into it, there we go. You've automatically made sure that it is compliant. And this obviously saves the individual investment fund managers each individually having to do this themselves, right? And it gives the investors confidence that what they're putting money into is in fact legal, legit, and above board, right? So that was one thing that really stuck out to me. The other thing that stuck out to me is that they have this mechanism that protects the BMC tokens from dropping in value. They have this floor at 80 cents. So let me show you the part of the website where this is. I've highlighted this in, what color have I put it in? The orange. So here it is in the crowdfund section. Right bang in the middle. It's called downside protection. So they aim to achieve this by taking 30% of the money they raise and setting it aside as a pot of money that guarantees a buyback of the BMC tokens at 80% of their distribution value. So if you bought a BMC token, say for $1, 80% of that is 80 cents, right? Which would be the floor. Now, they're not just going to let this pot of money sit, on the sidelines idle. They're going to put it into a diversified portfolio of major cryptocurrencies for a period of 24 months after the token sale. So that's going to be liquidity to protect the BMC token from going below 80 cents. Kind of interesting, you know? What about competitors was a big question that I had. And this takes us to page 10 of the white paper. Here's page 10. On page 10 of the white paper, they list Iconomy and Melonport as the two projects that they're comparing themselves to. So this comparison table highlights a few key advantages of Blackmoon Crypto, such as access to fiat-based funds, which the others don't have. That's the first one. They don't have that at all, according to this table. They talk about distribution of fund management income, which it says Melonport doesn't have, but Iconomy has in a limited form. They have a little star that says, Iconomy tokens give the right to receive dividends, but dividends are paid out of profits and at the full discretion of the company. Thus, there is no certainty of cash flows as opposed to BMC tokens. So they do qualify that. The other thing is focus on regulatory compliance, which again, they say Melonport doesn't have, but Iconomy has for themselves, but not necessarily for funds on the platform. And that's a benefit of the framework that Blackmoon Crypto have put together to make sure that if you comply with the framework, you should be legally compliant and regulatory compliant at the same time. And then there's the reserve fund for the token buyback at a minimum price, which is the last thing on the list, which it says the other two don't have at all. So those are the competitors. That's page 10 of the white paper if you want to look at that in more detail. Another thing that I did was look into the Telegram chat group. I basically went back through the last few days of the chat history and read it all, right? There's a lot of it, right? It's mostly just people asking basic questions. But one thing I was able to find in there that I wasn't able to find anywhere else was this YouTube video. So this YouTube video is hosted on the Blackmoon Financial Group YouTube channel, and it's a walkthrough of the Blackmoon investment interface, which is already in use apparently by institutional investors. Now, beyond that, I've also managed to acquire the login details for this demo app that's featured in the video, and I'll put the login details in the video description if you want to have a play with this yourself. So you can watch the video by all means, and the guy walks through all the various tabs and whatnot, but check this out. On another tab, this is the demo, which I've managed to get myself into. And here we are, I'm right into the dashboard. So you can play around with this as a demo investor. And it looks exactly like the stuff that the guy is playing with inside of that video. Same funds in there and so on. So if you want to really get a user experience of how this thing's going to work, check that out. I thought that was a good find in my opinion. So in conclusion then, Blackmoon Crypto. It's a big project. It's a big project. It has a clear way to make money. It's targeting a huge existing market and also a huge new market, the crypto world. They're looking to raise between 15 and 30 million, according to what I read in their chat group. The company behind the project are based in Singapore, and the Blackmoon Financial Group have been around since 2014, building this thing up. It's also staffed by a team that has experience in the investment and business world, and all in all, I couldn't find anything during my research that set off any major alarm bells. However, that is absolutely no substitute for doing your own research. My research was by no means exhaustive, and like I always say, never risk any more money than you can afford to lose. Alright guys, thanks very much for joining me today. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit that like button, and if you're new around here, get subscribed. And if you would like access to my very best material, such as my structured online courses, where you can learn how to make and save money with Bitcoin, check out cryptoversity.com. Alright guys, that's all for today. I'll be back on Monday with another episode of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.